Misunderstanding is one, maybe two items, not 23.
No.
Not $211 worth. That's not
happened?
misunderstanding. That is called theft.
No.
The 14th of August 2024, Lake County, Florida. A Walmart self-checkout theft involving 23 items and $211 raises four legal questions. When the offense was complete, whether an offer to pay after detection is a defense, whether the security room interview required Miranda warnings, and what immigration consequences a foreign national faces from a theft arrest. The method documented in the surveillance footage flipping tags toward the camera, fake scanning items, and placing them in the bag is expressly covered by Florida Statute Section 812.015, which defines retail theft to include altering or removing a price tag, transferring merchandise from one container to another, and manipulating the self-checkout process to avoid full payment. This is not a gap in the law. The legislature anticipated this exact technique.
Surprised I thought it because it's the same
So
thing.
many items to be a misunderstanding.
Misunderstanding.
I know,
A
listen.
misunderstanding is one, maybe two items, not 23.
No.
Not $211 worth. That's
what
not a
happened?
misunderstanding. That is called theft.
No.
Yes.
Well, see what happened is when I hold it up, I just scan it but if I see the tag up, I just scan it like that.
One or two items
Like
is a
I say, the woman
misunderstanding.
was helping me, but I want a problem paying for it because I'm not that type of person. I don't get no trouble. You all run my name. I don't get no trouble.
That's what everybody says when they get caught stealing.
No, you run my name, right? You run the name. I don't get no
Well,
trouble.
first time for everything.
It just was a misunderstanding. It wasn't intentional.
No.
So,
A misunderstanding is one or two items, not 23.
Officer,
Not
like I say, I didn't
$211
understand the machine. Like, I got two small kids. Officer, please, just let me just pay for it, please.
You had that opportunity when you were doing the self-checkout. That was your opportunity to scan and pay for the items.
I told
We're
everything
beyond that.
gone through.
We're
I
beyond that.
didn't mean to do what would happen. Officer, please, can I just pay, please? I have two small children. Please, officer, please. It wasn't nothing. It wasn't serious, officer, please.
Is she living over here?
No, she's
No, I just on vacation. It just wasn't nothing. It was just a mistake.
When are you leaving?
I'm leaving on Friday.
What's that?
Friday. It's just a mistake, officer. Just please. I have two small kids, please. I'm not from over here.
Just because you're not from here doesn't mean that you can steal.
No, I'm not stealing, officer.
You didn't steal.
No,
You didn't scan those items, and you
No,
walked
probably
out
because
without
I
paying for
was
it.
rushing because my cousin keep calling. You see, I was on the phone. My cousin keep calling. I was trying to help scan everything. Like it wasn't intentional, officer. Please. Can I just pay for the missed items, please?
You had that opportunity. We're beyond that.
Officer, it was just a misunderstanding. I didn't.
It's not a misunderstanding.
Officer, please. I have two small kids, please.
You should have thought about that.
Officer, like it wasn't intentional.
Yes, it was very intentional.
No,
Watching the
sir,
video was
like-
very intentional.
I was on the phone. My cousin keeps asking where we was. I was trying to hire cash, and some of the stuff probably just get missed. And probably I was grabbing, like, please, miss, please, mom. It wasn't intentional, like. Can I just pay for it?
So like for that, just stop saying the same thing. Because it's not, you can't do anything.
I just want to pay for it, please.
The subject's most persistent argument was her offer to pay for the unscanned items after she was detained. This argument reflects a common but incorrect understanding of when the theft offense is complete. Under Florida Statute Section 812.014, theft is complete at the moment a person knowingly obtains or uses another's property with intent to deprive the owner of it. That moment occurred at the register, not at the exit door, and not contingent on whether payment is later offered. The window to pay closed when the first item was fake scanned with intent. The intent element is where the surveillance evidence does the most legal work. A single unscanned item might support a distraction argument. 23 items following a documented pattern of tag flipping and fake scanning does not. Under Florida law, intent is established by proof of acts, circumstances, and reasonable inferences drawn from those circumstances. A repeated method applied across a single transaction is evidence of planning, not of haste. The officer's statement that it was very intentional is both accurate and legally precise. The loss prevention stop at the exit was authorized under Florida Statute Section 812.0153, Florida's Shopkeeper's Privilege. Merchants and their agents may detain a person reasonably suspected of retail theft for a reasonable period and in a reasonable manner. Waiting until the subject cleared the first set of double doors was tactically sound. It ensured she had completed an exit attempt, which satisfies the attempt to take element of the statute. The security room interview raises a Miranda concern. Under Miranda v. Arizona, 1966, advisement is required before custodial interrogation. Whether the interview was custodial depends on whether a reasonable person in the subject's position would have felt free to leave a uniformed officer, loss prevention staff, and a locked security room suggests she was not. If custodial conditions existed, the subject's in-room statements, including her admissions about her scanning behavior, are subject to suppression without a prior Miranda advisement. No advisement is visible on camera. The immigration consequence of this arrest is the most serious legal outcome the subject faces, and it was not communicated to her on camera. Under 8 U.S.C. Section 1182 A2 A.E.2, an alien who has been convicted of a crime involving moral turpitude, which includes theft, is inadmissible to the United States. A Bahamian national with a theft conviction may be denied re-entry at any future port of entry. That permanent consequence substantially exceeds the criminal penalty of up to 1 year in county jail and a $1,000 fine.
Yeah. You want to know what? Well, we're still working out that. Yeah, 'cause there's a lot of items that she didn't pay for. It was over $200. So I'm not sure if you know what the self-checkout is. The camera's right there, and on the videos it shows her not scanning a lot of items. So it's like $230, $250 she needs to pay.
So can she pay for it?
Walmart doesn't want her to pay for it. No. So yeah, we're still trying to work it out. Yeah. Yeah, with a lot. Where are you gonna be at?
I mean, I'm from the Bahamas. Never rented over there now, but I want to go out and eat nothing in the house.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be like another 10, 15 minutes. Okay. Where are you gonna be out outside or something? Okay. All right.
Just stand up. Go ahead, stand up. Don't let me yank you up. Stand up.
Officer, like I say, I'm not a problem person. Please let me just pay for it.
So they don't want that. They want to pursue charges, press charges. So you're gonna go to jail. You could be released today, but your family members have to go to the jail and get you out. Okay?
Please don't press charges on me, please.
The officer then goes to tell her cousin that Walmart is going to press charges.
So Walmart, because it's so much, it's like $250, they want to press charges for theft. So if they want to press charges, you have to arrest her, okay? Because she doesn't live within our county, she lives far away. So for example, if she lived in Orlando, would still have to go to jail. In our policy, we have to take her to jail, okay? So she could be released, you just gotta go to the jail and get her out, okay? So, yeah. It's about 45 minutes from here. I could give you the address. Where you're staying at? You're staying in Orlando?
Yeah. Okay. They just come last night.
Yeah.
My God.
So, I don't know, y'all from the Bahamas?
Yeah.
So I don't know how it is in the Bahamas. When you go to jail, you have to pay to get them out. That's how it is here.
Oh, you have to pay?
Yeah. So if she doesn't pay, then she has to stay to jail until tomorrow when she sees the judge.
She has to go before a judge?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So how much she have to pay?
$500. That's to get her out of jail.
to get out.
To get her
And she
out.
got to pay that. She have money. That's like I told her also. She was saving for the circumstance. So I don't understand why she
So
did something stupid like
a
that.
lot of people that come steal from Walmart here, they always have a lot of money on them. I don't know why they don't pay.
Serious, man.
I arrested someone last week, and they didn't scan like $100 and something, and he had a whole thing of cash. It's paid for. You're gonna spend more money getting out of jail.
Thank you very much.
So, yeah. So I can give you the address. I think, and then everything that she did purchase, I could give to you, so you can take it. Right. So will you want the address? So if you want to look in your Google, you got Google Maps. So if you type in Lake County Jail.
Yeah, that's what the phone number is called.
Grab me this one right here. You want the phone number as well? Does she have a little kid?
Yeah, she have
Where's the kids
in the
at?
car with my sister.
Okay. So they're in the car. They're not. Because we got to put her in handcuffs. We don't want her to see.
No, they can't. They'll
Okay.
come along. They can't.
I'll talk to them to see if she can give you.
The stuff,
Yeah.
Because I'm on there?
Yeah. Her stuff.
Yeah.
It's good to take. I already talked to her. This is hers.
More than 500.
Yeah, I already told her. So this is everything that she purchased. This is all her stuff. Okay.
What I want to know is if I can get her card, so we can pay the crime and we get it.
I asked her. So they want to know if they can get your card because you got to pay $500 to get out.
I don't know if they won't accept this. They don't accept credit or debit cards.
Or they got to take out money.
Yeah, I said they won't.
You want her to know your code to get out?
Are you know today?
You can, but you got to pay it to get out. You don't pay it, you stay there till tomorrow until you see the judge, and the judge will determine if you get out or not.
I can pay today.
Yeah, but you got to pay cash or they got to go to a bonds.
Okay, I'll pay, yeah.
But you can't pay with a card.
Okay, I'll pay, yeah.
You want to know? You want them to know,
Yeah, it was after pay for the cash and I was getting
ma'am? Real quick.
We'll do that there.
I don't understand.
Oh, okay.
the money was helping me pay for the stuff, and they say teacher baby toy, and they get paid for it, teacher like this, but the time they didn't get paid for it.
My bad.
Oh, she paid for it. Oh, she paid for it. Teacher, okay. Yeah. Come here. She said we going there now.
Yeah, we're going there now. Yep. So you could go there or drop things off. It's about 45 minutes to an hour drive with all the traffic. And then it takes about 45 minutes to an hour for them to process her. Yeah. Okay? You're welcome.
The lead officer receives an A-. His clarification that the offer to pay was no longer available was a precise statement of Florida law. His identification of the fake scan pattern as intentional directing attention to the surveillance video correctly focused the legal analysis on the strongest available evidence. His communication of the booking process to the subject's companion was among the most thorough in the series. His sensitivity about shielding the children from the handcuffing reflects professionalism beyond the minimum. The A- reflects one gap. No Miranda advisement appears on camera before the security room interview began under what appear to be custodial conditions. The subject receives a D+. The surveillance footage establishes a systematic theft, not an accident. 23 items, repeated tag flipping, consistent fake scanning pattern. Her in-room arguments were legally counterproductive. The offer to pay is not a defense. The rushing explanation is contradicted by the method. The clean record claim is irrelevant to guilt, and the tourist status appeal has no effect on the elements of the charge. The D+ reflects two genuine considerations. She was fully cooperative and did not resist, and she faces an immigration consequence that substantially exceeds the criminal penalty she was charged, with a consequence she appears not to have understood. 3 lessons. First, under Florida law, the retail theft offense is complete at the moment you take property with intent to deprive, not when you exit the store. Offering to pay after you are caught does not close the charge. It does not constitute a diversion. It is not a defense. It is a statement to the officer that confirms you knew the items were unpaid. Second, a single unscanned item at self-checkout can plausibly be a mistake. A repeated, consistent pattern across a single transaction cannot. Under Florida's intent analysis, the method itself is the evidence. If the surveillance footage shows a system, and it does here, the officer's job is straightforward. The defense attorney's job becomes considerably harder. Third, for foreign nationals, the most significant consequence of a theft arrest is not the criminal penalty. It is the potential bar to future U.S. admissibility under 8 U.S.C. Section 1182. A conviction for a crime involving moral turpitude, including petty theft, can result in denial of a visa or entry at a port of entry. This consequence is permanent, applies regardless of the sentence imposed, and is not communicated during the arrest. If you are a foreign national arrested for theft in the United States, your first call should be to an immigration attorney, not just a criminal defense attorney. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic that you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out our second channel, Street Bodycam, for even more police interaction and courtroom content.